All right. Thank you for joining me. I'm going to start with Lauren. Lauren, tell me a little bit about yourself and how you came to own Cresson.
Hey, Cody. Thanks for having us. So we don't own Crescent yet, but we moved in 2019 with a lease to purchase option. And we have, that's kind of a 5-year term. We entered there to start our hydro farm. We began with a juvenile facility and cleaned it and built out NFT channels and a couple other hydro systems. And about during the time of early COVID, when schools were out, we had a lot of trespassers, and we also had a lot of people reaching out just for a place to come visit. And we decided to do one tour May of 2021. And that's how we got started with Urban Explorers. And it's just grown exponentially since then, way beyond what we ever imagined with our farm.
Okay. And you didn't actually go to do this originally. This was like a secondary thing that just came out of the middle of nowhere.
Absolutely, because our original plans, we had 5 buildings in the upper campus area that we had planned for other hydroponic grows. One building we had hoped to just run as a strawberry house. We've definitely transitioned those plans a little bit at this point because so many people want to come and visit those locations. They want to see those buildings. If we lost them to the hydro farm, I think people might be a little upset at this point. But yeah, we had no idea what the interest was going to be for people visiting. And just like a lot of other farms that were trying to find ways to survive during COVID, we just opened up a different form of agrotourism. It's a lot different than I'm sure other farms do. I mean, others have haunted houses and stuff like that too. But we get to share this site that got um, permitted as an agricultural location to open up and share for history and so much more.
And it's a legit haunted house, not like the other ones that are.
No, our haunted house last year was a really cool Norse theme. It was kind of exiting the underworld, and it also had a variety of different rooms, like a doll room that was creepy as it was creepy, and it just had really a lot of neat elements. So yeah, it was a genuine haunted house. It wasn't paranormally focused, and we hope to do kind of different things each Halloween and see how that grows.
And now two of the people that want to come explore are now sitting here with us, Angel and Lindsey.
So Angel and Lindsey both came to us in different ways. Lindsey was originally one of our urban explorers who came to visit one of our very first events and became one of our regular volunteers. And Lindsey is also a paranormal investigator who was highly encouraging of that's something that we should consider with what we do. And we entered that with a paranormal company that Angel had some ties to, and they met while working together at Cresson. And now Angel works for us directly as well as an investigator and does so much more. He's also very handy carpenter who's helped us keep up some things, maintain things with volunteer days, and we hope to see that grow too.
So, what
Absolutely.
what got? I'm gonna go to Angel and Lindsey, and I'll come back to you, Lauren. What got you? Okay, so Lindsey, you were the paranormal one, and Angel was the urban explorer. What got you guys?
We're both paranormal.
Yeah.
Well, you're both paranormal, but originally, unless I misunderstood this.
Originally, Lindsey found us during one of our very first urban explorer events.
Okay, so I got that mixed up. My apologies. So, what got you guys interested in Cresson?
So I grew up there. I grew up in Ebensburg, which is like 15 minutes outside of Cresson. So I knew when the prison shut down, I always knew that it had been a tuberculosis. So when it became abandoned, for years I was kind of like, who owns it? Oh, the state owns it, or this, And then they advertised, it popped up on Facebook one day that this company, Big House Produce, is doing urban exploring at the Cresson prison. I was like, no way. And so I went to go look at the place. I messaged the Facebook page and was like, hey, this place has got to be haunted. Will you let me investigate it? So that's how I got started into it. And
myself, I was partaking with a different company, a paranormal company. I was actually the head trainer of the East Coast, and they brought this property to my attention, and essentially the size itself, I was training, and they said we could use it as a training hub, and I put my 2 feet on the ground in front, and I have never left. I've never left. So that's exactly where I went.
Now, Lauren, so when you guys started getting all these people that would, trespass, did you see a business opportunity or right away, or did it take a little bit for you to be like, oh, wait a minute, we can start, renting this out where people can come in and explore it, and we can have another source of income?
So it's been long enough now. I'll tell the real story.
Okay.
Like I said, we were just getting our farm started during COVID. We had lights that were sitting in ports for months on end. We things were taking a lot longer than we had hoped, and the overhead at a place like this is not small. So we had months and months of overhead expenditures that that we weren't yet growing to be able to catch up. So we had been getting messages. One particular person, her name is Urbex Photo Mom on Instagram. She messaged us to our email probably 4 times over the space of a year, saying, "Are you ready to let visitors come yet? We really want to visit." She's a my age urban explorer and didn't want to get caught for illegal trespassing. And I reached out and said, "Hey, we're finally going to do it. We're going to open the doors." Like I said, that was May 2021. And we just opened like 50 tickets. 50 people could come out. And it was we had it sold in a few days. And we were looking at a incredibly expensive electric bill that we weren't sure how to pay. And so we opened a few more tickets, and that was that. We were caught up on our bills in about 60 days after having another tour the month after. And we had so much interest from people that were seeing photos being shared, just that kind of like fear of missing out. We sold every single event out the remainder of that year in 2021. Mostly urban explorers, but we also were doing we did like time slots on our passes so that there wasn't a lot of overlap, because it was still COVID. We didn't want a lot of people at check-in at any one time. We didn't want a lot of people on the property at any one time, because that's not what explorers wanted anyway. And that worked really well. It did, definitely the urban explorers did slow down after the first year, but that kept us alive. I mean, it wasn't something that we looked at and saw this is an opportunity to get rich, because honestly, it was an opportunity for us to start really getting into the preservation work. That fall in 2021, we were able to fund the tunnel repairs from all the tours that we had been having. Because that was the one thing all of the visitors were like, when can we get in the tunnels? You're going to let us in the tunnels, right? And it needed a lot of work. So it's let us grow our staff. It's let us continue what we hope to do here with our farming. But it's also really helped us get ahead on the preservation work that a lot of these buildings needed. And a lot of that was just cleaning from trespassers. I shouldn't say trespassers. I should say vandals. 2 different things. There was a lot of cleanup for vandals, and Lindsey and Angel were there for our early volunteer days too. And it's been a lot of. I got off track on your question there, but no, it wasn't immediately an obvious business opportunity. It just has something that has grown really organically from listening to what people want to come out and do. And we're very fortunate and grateful that it happened this way.
Now, and obviously it caught the attention of a fairly large TV show. So how did Destination Fear, now Project Fear, how did they find you guys?
So we were actually on Ghost Hunters the year before.
Okay.
That was the first show that came to visit us, and I think that they have similar, production ties, and our information was shared within that because it's still under the Travel Channel, group of producers.
So how did Ghost Hunters? How did Ghost Hunters find out about Crescent? Because I've been in the paranormal community for about a year and a half now. I had not heard about it until I saw Destination Fear's episode. I don't watch Ghost Hunters anymore. My bad. So that's when I first saw your location and the fact that they did 2 nights there. It's such a large facility. How did they find out? Like, how did Ghost Hunters find out about you guys?
Sure. So I'm pretty sure Ghost Hunters learned about us through the company that Angel worked with, and again shared connections and said, "Hey, this is a new site we've brought on." They had their people watching urban explorer groups, and that's how they found us originally. So just the good fortune of people wanting to share what we're doing here had helped get the word out. That they wanted, see what other kind of opportunities they could help bring to us.
And obviously, when you get large media exposure, like a large TV show, Ghost Hunters is a fairly large TV show, and now Project Fear, I bet you that definitely helped book you some tickets there.
So it definitely, we had a real big surge in our requests for private overnights. And that's something that we had already kind of been cycling the year before, had a good system going, and were able to jump right in when that came in for 2024. We couldn't have been more fortunate about the timing as well, because they aired, I believe it was the first weekend. No, it was the last weekend in November. That's correct. So we had gotten a little bit of a breath getting done with Halloween, which was, that was a wild ride. And once that aired, it was, gangbusters through winter, when we're typically closed, because up on the summit, I'm not sure if you're aware, Crescent sits up on a pretty high altitude, which is how it was originally chosen for a tuberculosis hospital anyway. So in the winter, it's a pretty treacherous place to be. And it having the Destination Fear air at the end of November last year kept us busy through the winter for sure.
Which is a good thing.
Absolutely. Always a good thing. It's a wonderful thing.
And now, so Angel and Lindsey are now your two of your tour guides, and now they're engaged.
I'll let them tell that story.
I want to hear this. I mean, this is a pretty interesting story.
I think they might have some lag going on because they're normally pretty excited.
Yeah, I think there is a little bit of lag.
Oh, and they're muted. Angel and Lindsey, you guys are muted also.
Can I unmute them? I can unmute them, but I don't know. Oh, no.
I'm sending over a message real quick.
Hey, guys. We're having some connection problems on our end. It keeps spinning.
Uh-oh. I think I'm going to mute them just because I think
I did send them the suggestion to disconnect and try to reconnect, see if they can get in.
we can edit this
Okay, great.
section out.
Yeah.
I removed them just because. Maybe.
So I'll give you a little teaser on the story. Angel was working with the company that we had hired to run paranormal tours originally, and Lindsey had already been volunteering with us for a few months, and again was one of the ones that was really begging for us to start paranormal in the first place. So I asked Lindsey and a friend to go in kind of as secret shoppers, just to tell me, like, hey, how do they run their events? Like, how's it going for people? And what do you think? And the next day, I got a message back. It was like, I met this guy. He was super sweet. He flirted, and she was not interested. Had none, just really nice guy, but he was really flirty. And I was like, well, is that with everybody? He's like, no, that was just me. And they have had an incredible. I think it was about a year and a half later that they ended up together. It took some time.
I don't know if we're going to get him back, unfortunately.
Let's see if she sent me a message. I did have us on. She says they're trying to reconnect.
There they go. Let's add them to the stream. Is it working now? Yay!
Yes. We switched to a different device, so we're going to try it this way.
It seems to be much better. You guys are like much clearer, and the audio is a lot better. So
Awesome. Thank you.
Good.
So, all right. So you guys are now engaged.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
I want to hear the story.
Here we go. She's a lot cuter when she talks it, and I'm just going to dot the I's and cross the T's, okay? All right, so here we go. So, like Lauren had mentioned, I was working previously for a different company, and this pretty little lady came as a guest to one of the events. And, we developed a friendship, and before you know it, she's never left, just like we've never left Cresson. And, we do everything together. We share the same passion. We, oh, Lord, our first date was walking the property. We joke around, walking around the nighttime, looking at all the stars, the crescent moon. That was ours because it was Cresson. Cresson belongs to us. We're mommy and poppy. No, but it's beautiful. Our first kiss was in Building 5, the original building on the property. It's fairy tale in the most freakazoid way, and I love it. I absolutely love it. She's a wonderful investigator. We feed off of each other. We are it's like a dynamic duo. We always joke about we're like the future Warrens, baby.
And that's always important when you're investigating. Like if you have a partner and they're just like, I've investigated with multiple groups, and sometimes you get somebody that you just don't, it doesn't flow that well, and it kind of makes it not that great. But then you get that one person that's just like, yes, let's keep going.
That's exactly how I felt. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna put a ring on it.
There you go, Lauren. Here's an idea for Valentine's Day. You could do like a speed dating, speed dating, and building number 5. There you go.
We'll do it right in the cafeteria.
That's actually how I present my present building. When we do E, I hold mass vigils in E, and I tell people, don't ask the typical ghost hunting questions. Treat it like speed dating. What's your favorite color? What's your favorite topping on a pizza? They talk to you just like everyone else.
So what got you, Lindsey and Angel, what got you guys interested in urban exploring and then the paranormal?
So for me, I grew up in a haunted house. So as I got older, I got intrigued by the paranormal. I wanted to know more. But then my dad also is very much like me. My dad loves ghost stories. He likes to look at abandoned houses and just walk around and look at them, or abandoned buildings and look at them. Like even today, I'll catch him on YouTube watching videos of other people urban exploring. So I kind of got into that just a little bit from him. And then I started ghost hunting, I want to say, I think it was 2012. I joined a paranormal team and I started investigating with them. And then I formed my own group in 2014. And so that's kind of where I started out at. What about you?
I'm originally from Fredericksburg, Virginia, Spotsylvania. So all Civil War background. Walking around the battlefields, walking through those mansions. I always thought, The properties were gorgeous, and I always liked things that bumped in the night. My family is very where I come from a Hispanic background, so my father Puerto Rican, my mother Mexican, very spiritual, very very talkative with the spirits, and so it was kind of always just instilled in me, very much like coming from your dad, and I just realized that we are just a bunch of freakazoids, like the firemen of the paranormal. Everyone runs out when stuff goes knock in the night, and we go running in, trying to make friends.
Sometimes the conversations you have with spirits is a lot better than having conversations with people.
Absolutely.
100%. It's the living that you got to worry about.
Exactly. I mean, I love going into these buildings. I love looking at all these buildings, and then listening to the stories of the spirits that are there, because they're stuck there. They're stuck there for whatever reason, and they just want somebody to listen. And that's why we do what we do. And Cresson is obviously on my list of places I want to go. I mean, it's up there, and eventually I will get out there, hopefully this year. So what is, I'm going to ask you guys, what is your craziest story? And then I'm going to go back to Lauren and ask some more questions about Cresson.
We have to tie in both our stories. Okay.
So you tell yours first.
Okay. So this is something, this is the one that sticks out with me. Still to this day, I'm chasing. So I was holding a group, a rotation. Probably had about 14, 15 people with me, a psychic medium included. And I was in a building called Building F. Long story short, on the second floor, we had, I don't know what it is to this day. I'm still trying to figure out, but the most I could say is, I like to stand by myself, so I'm at the end of a hallway while everyone else is in safety run of the exit. And I see something with long fingers and claws coming from the top of the ceiling, like turn around the corner. The typical movie slap, and come around, and it comes around a pipe and comes right to the front of me and kind of lowers itself down. And the best way I can explain is it looked like a human tadpole. It had a tail. It had very muscular, way more gorgeous than I am. And it had red eyes. And when I took a deep breath, the psychic medium that was across the end of the hallway had told me, Angel, I don't want you to panic, but there's something in front of you, and it has red eyes. And the most I could say was, yeah, I know. And it has put a splinter in me that to this day I'm still chasing and trying to find out what exactly it is. And then now the beauty of it is her story is going to come into play.
Yeah, so probably several months after he saw that, I was in the chapel on the property, and one of the ladies that was running the group decided she was going to play some religious music, and I can't remember what song it was. I want to say it maybe Amazing Grace or something like that. Not long after she started playing it, my friend got super nervous, and she's not one to get nervous, and she started, I could see her like kind of rocking a little bit, taking heavy breaths. Not long after that, I saw on the side of the stage, there's a doorway that goes back behind where I guess like the minister's offices used to be. I saw these long fingers reach on the top of the door frame from the other side, and this thing crawl out and onto the roof. And it's like Angel said, had long fingernails. It was muscular. It had it looked like a tadpole, like the way that it had like a tail at the end of it. And at that point, her and I both ran out of the chapel. We were like, oh, I've been investigating for 10 years, and that is the scariest thing that I've ever seen in my life. And I ran out.
Yeah.
Has anybody else seen this?
Mm-hmm.
So the beauty of it is 3-4 Saturdays ago, someone brought in an SLS. Do you remember this?
Yeah, the SLS.
Someone brought in an SLS, and down in the tunnels area, was it 2?
It was 2. They mapped out 2 things crawling on the ceiling.
Yeah, and the beauty of it, why I love this is because down in those tunnels, the basement to F and the basement of the chapel connect to each other.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm thinking that's its domain. That's its way to get around, including 2 other buildings.
Mm-hmm.
But I was actually doing an event that night and got called down because 2 people ran out of a building, and lo and behold, we were not dating yet at the time. But when I went down to building 2, our visitor center,
Mm-hmm.
I found out it was her.
Mm-hmm.
And when she told me what she saw, my jaw dropped, and it was just like, oh my God, like this is it. And now we get things on all our equipment talking about he's coming.
Mm-hmm.
So we are constantly in our free roam investigations trying to find out who he is. And
we've got Estes session. We've had other people doing Estes, and it'll say, Lindsey, you saw me in the place of worship.
It'll say names. It knows our names to the T. She got the benefit of the fact to talk to 2 different psychic mediums at we were humbled enough to represent Cresson at the Paracon at Penhurst Asylum. And both of them, one including one of my good friends' wives, said that maybe this was some kind of self-manifested.
They felt that it was they felt that it was negative energy, so much negative energy in one place, manifesting itself into a conscious being.
Yeah. So
that's really, really interesting.
Yeah.
Canceling my trip to
No, please come. Please come.
Not every trip is like that.
No. You know what? The joke is, so my first paranormal investigation, I went to the Indiana State Sanatorium. Me and my wife and a former coworker, and her fiance went with us. And I ended up screaming like a little girl, probably like 7 or 8 times during the whole night. And my wife is just laughing. She's laughing hysterically at me. I got touched multiple times. Like people witnessed this like white nurse, this like white shadowy figure come up to me and put its hand on my shoulder and then disappear.
Oh wow.
Oh wow.
So I screamed. I was like, "Is the night over? Can we go?"
Oh.
So no, it was a great time, and now I'm hooked, and here I am.
That's it. That's how it goes.
Lauren. So I know this is a very touchy subject. Obviously, there's a little bit of litigation going on. So the current owner that you're leasing to the property from is trying to evict you. Okay. Can you elaborate? I know there's only so much you can.
Our purchase agreement gives us until toward the end of 2024 to complete the purchase. And our landlord has received a significantly higher offer than what we negotiated. Since receiving that offer, our landlord has been trying to claim that we are in breach so that he does not have to honor the agreements that we have. We don't agree that we've been in breach, and we are going to court with our evidence to show why we haven't been. And we hope we're successful. It's complicated. It's a lot of details that we're both sides are going to be presenting, and all we can do is be hopeful. We think we have acted in good faith at all times, and believe that our agreement should be honored and that we should be able to purchase the property as we had originally planned with him.
Now, can you elaborate? And I know you might not be able to elaborate what the alleged breaches are.
I'm not going to go into too much detail on that. However, there are court documents available.
Okay. Okay. I will look that up, and then
if I can help you, just let me know.
And get my answers that way.
Yes.
No. So what can people do to help in the situation? Because obviously litigation, there's lawyers involved. It gets very costly.
It does. However, we are not asking our supporters to donate toward our legal fees. We are trying to pay that all of ourselves. Any donations that we're asking for through our GoFundMe, which is gofundme.com/Cresson-Sanatorium. We're only asking for donations toward the property purchase, and we will only, if we are not successful, those donations will be refunded.
Okay. So that's fair. That's a fair. Now, so let's say you win. What is your ultimate plan for Cresson?
So there's a lot of things that I'm under an NDA that I can't say about future, because there are contracts that are just waiting to be signed for things that we can do bigger and better to grow. Obviously, there are things that we have limitations on how many people we can have on site and the types of activities that we're allowed to operate. We'll be able to expand that much further as well, and into some common sense kind of things that you would want to do at a site like this and this large. Not necessarily paranormal, not necessarily urban exploring or photography related, but much more community related as well. There are other things that we have environmentally planned around the site for growth, as well as our farm. We do have plans for a future inn on site, one of the lower buildings that is a modern Tudor style building. We've been working on repairing and updating so that when the site is ours, we can host people overnight. It actually has 13 rooms.
And I was just sitting here thinking, like, that would be so cool to stay, like, sleep. I say that now. It'd be so cool to sleep there. But then again, I don't like to sleep. At every location that I've been to, I don't sleep because I'm just too afraid something is gonna. I mean, I could set up the IR. Angel and Lindsey are laughing at me. So like, I want to set up like an IR camera and do all that, but I'm afraid something's gonna mess with me. Like, I went to Poasttown Elementary. It's in Middletown, Ohio. Nice. The owners live there, and they actually have video of the one owner being drug out of bed by an unknown. There's video of him being pulled out of bed. And so I went there, and the group was like, "Hey, you can stay the night." And I'm like, "That's not happening." Have you guys seen the video? They're also the same group that actually got you could hear a little girl screaming hello, but there was no kids there. When
I think I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, there were no kids at this event, and you could just. But so, Lauren, I asked Angel and Lindsey, what is your craziest experience at Cresson?
So definitely nothing like you just described for that other owner. It's funny. A lot of the investigators have told us that the spirits are probably trying to keep us. I don't know how to put it. All of our interactions have been really playful or helpful. Even the family, my spouse and our kids, we don't often get scared or spooked by anything. Our daughter has had some weird experiences for sure. But again, not anything terrifying like being dragged out of bed. And we've certainly spent some nights there. So for me, the one that sticks with me the most is when we first started really getting to work up there. It was just a few of us around, and I would often smell tobacco smoke, like really sweet tobacco smoke. And somewhere along the way, someone mentioned, "Oh yeah, if you smell tobacco smoke, Charlie's around." And that was kind of the very first paranormal story I had been told about. That it was, I'm not sure if it was a former resident or guard that when small groups of people were talking would kind of seem to, in spirit, join the conversation, and you would smell his tobacco. And that was kind of how you knew he was with you. And I smelled that tobacco all the time. I made my partner drive me up and down the mountain to the different businesses around, and there's not a lot, just sniffing the air, trying to figure out, okay, is it wafting up from the diesel shop? Is it, where's this smell coming from? Never figured it out. And as things got busier, we noticed that less and less. But when we have quiet moments, it's still sometimes you catch some tobacco smoke. And I have to, I know that's not exciting, or it's just, I don't know, it's comforting actually. Just know Charlie's there with me.
It's beautiful.
So who was Charlie?
I'm not. Do either of you know anymore, Angel or Lindsey? Because I don't really know.
I've heard rumor that he was a maintenance worker, but
Yeah.
I don't know for sure. That's rumor.
I've heard
That seems right, because I don't want to say it was a guard, but I don't. I think it was later
He was
than.
some kind of mechanical worker on site. That's what I've always heard.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it's for me. I definitely am of the. I don't know that I have those intuitions, but I know if there's spirits around us, they're just humans like anybody else, and
Absolutely.
that's how we've tried to treat the history here and the individuals that have touched this. That this place has touched their lives, and all the interactions I've had have been really human. Definitely like some playful stuff. Giving tours in rooms where we had just gotten locked in the day before, and so we walked in. We're like, "Okay, guys, don't shut that door," and slam shut. No one near it. I mean, we had keys on us this time, but it's like it seems like there's a practical joker around sometimes.
Like they keep you on your toes.
Oh,
Exactly.
Oh yeah.
That's always interesting to like the different types of spirits. You'll get ones that love to play practical jokes on you, but then you got the creature that these two have seen that it scared the crap out of me. So
where they were describing in Building F, very early on, as I was, we were showing different people that area pretty regularly, and not that I had warned anybody, but as we took people to the second floor of Building F, and people that described themselves as mediums or intuitive, pretty regularly said they felt sick or overwhelmed or their stomachs hurt. And that is where almost every single one of our employees has heard their names on a recording being called.
Yeah. Oh yeah, they've been called out from the building.
Go to Building F. We want to talk to you in F.
You guys have never heard my name, right?
No, we actually haven't.
We actually haven't, but that's funny.
I've never actually investigated with them. Like I'm a little wussy, and I'm just avoiding that.
No.
I have a group that I investigate with, and one of them was supposed to. She was gonna actually be part of the interview today, but she couldn't make it. She's clairvoyant. And I have another one that is very intuitive and very sensitive and can pick up on these things. And I definitely would want to bring them both to Cresson.
Absolutely.
I won't let them see or read this interview until after we go.
That's it.
So they don't know. I'm going to know. I'm going to be like, hey, you guys are going to do solos at Building F. I'm not going in. You take my camera for me. And
well, when you need to lighten the mood after, if you have women with you, go to Building E. Yep. I don't know why women trigger Building E responses.
Yeah.
Almost every time.
Cells 27, 28, 58, 59.
They all love women.
Blondes and redheads.
I don't think either one of them are blonde, but they are both women, so they'll have a...
We make jokes that I mean there's an old thread on our Facebook page of women all talking about how they had been goosed in E. And I was like, I don't know how to get the spirits to report to HR. I'm really sorry. This is rough.
They did not make it to. I'm sorry, my one.
Hey, love it. Go ahead now.
Hi. Listen, I'm trying to do an interview here. I know. You probably want food. I know.
I'm saying, talk about Building F. I heard something about it.
Yeah, Building. Ow! Hey! Claws.
I 100% thought it was going to be me with the pets having an issue, so I'm glad.
Normally,
we got pets and kids everywhere too, so no worries.
The kids aren't here right now, so that's why I scheduled this time.
We got 4 in the house right now.
4 kids. Wow.
Yeah.
My condolences. I grew up in a family of 5 kids, so I'm the second oldest of 5.
We can't say too much, but maybe in the future.
So, okay. So I know Destination Fear was out there. Ghost Hunters was out there. Now,
Ghost Brothers came with Ghost Hunters.
Ghost Brothers came out with Ghost Hunters. Now, is there? I know. Well, you can't tell me. You can't tell me.
Yeah, I can't on that one. I'm sorry.
So, what was it like having a big production crew and these TV shows come into your location and actually do an investigation? Like, what was the first thought? Like, hey, we want to come investigate. What was going through your head?
So actually, one of my partners is formerly in the entertainment industry and had done was in a technical side, but doing prep for shows, but knew a lot about lights and cameras and everything that they would need to be doing, which is honestly a lot less than we expected. They were super nice. When Destination Fear came the first time, it was March, and it was also very snowed in. The crew jumped out of the van with shovels that they had bought before they came and just started clearing stuff. It was very, I don't want to say it was very well organized. They had their plan. They knew what days they were doing interviews. It was just super easy, and they were all incredibly friendly. We've done a few other films that were outside of paranormal as well, and honestly, it's far from glamorous. They're all tired, working really long days, and they're making do at these abandoned sites where there's not much in the way of amenities, and everybody's just always had great attitudes. It's no matter what production we were doing. It's just been a really neat kind of quieter aspect of what we get to do up here. And that's, from these big productions to students that are just doing films for the first time. And we get to, we love kind of being a creative oasis that photographers and other kind of artists have really put to use. But yeah, I can't say enough about how nice all of those production crews have been, and just, again, super efficient.
Now, I know a lot of the stuff that you plan on doing in the future is you can't talk about, but is there any plans of like getting it where, like, how is like the cell phone or the data coverage out there? Like, so if I wanted to come out there and do live streams, is it something that it's good out there?
So there's a tower in a lower area of the site. They do live streams all the time, except for if you get into basements or the restricted housing unit, it can be a little too concreted in.
Okay. I was going to say, cause like, I've been to Indiana State Sanatorium twice. It's in the middle of nowhere, Indiana. So like the cell service is, so they're actually putting Wi-Fi through the whole facility, so you can actually do live streams, and that's
we're blessed.
Huh?
I'm sorry. I just said we're blessed.
Mm-hmm.
We're blessed to be able to have our live streams and everything.
Most of the buildings you can get live streams
Absolutely.
from, like Lauren said. There's like 1 or 2 places where it's a little sketchy, but the majority of the property you're good.
Now, have you thought about like setting up like live cameras that like people can subscribe to, that they could like $5 a month, you can go watch this camera?
So I didn't want to plug it just yet, but we are in the background also working on some stuff for Patreon that we hope to announce this month. And we're testing out some live cams with a hotspot to see how we can do with that.
Okay, so this interview won't be released until I got to write the story. I got 4 days to write it. So it'll be in our August edition of the magazine. So by then, it will already be
right. I don't have the information to plug it with you just yet, but I can find out some details.
No, that's fine. It's something that, hey, this is something in the future that they're gonna do. I totally would subscribe. just so I could see if I could find their little creature thingy that connected them.
Well, we're also going to do some special access type of events where people get to investigate or visit areas that are normally off limits. We have some other great ideas in the works that we're putting together. So the power plant is actually a really cool area that we're going to be opening occasionally for Patreon supporters.
Fantastic. So look at this. There's a lot of positive things,
Positive vibe.
Positive vibes. Now, real quick, Angel and Lindsay, have you thought of naming that creature Cupid? Because
no, we haven't thought about naming it Cupid. Well, we are planning on getting married in the chapel.
Are you really?
100%. 100%. And then with that inn that Lauren was talking about, I mean, big plans. It's going to be everything works out. When it works out, positive. It's going to be the most beautiful paranormal night to remember for sure. For sure. Creatures invited too, 100%.
Not if we're doing an in party. No.
look at Lawrence like.
That's it.
Lauren's a matchmaker, a paranormal matchmaker.
Slam dunk. All this time I thought it was the hair, but it was Lauren.
So, Lauren, do you have anything else that you want to share that I haven't covered or asked?
I think you've done a really thorough job. Angel, Lindsay, anything that I missed?
No.
Y'all are fantastic. I mean, the paranormal, what we have planned in the future, a little, side little love story to emphasize. I mean, I think you hit it, man. I greatly appreciate it. This is fun.
It's a human interest story. You gotta include that. Like, look at the paranormal, like.
Oh.
Well, the funniest thing is they're not the only one. There have been jokes that there must be like quartz crystal under Cresson or something because
a
lot of couples that
come out of this. Yeah, we definitely. Lindsey was actually the one that brought. She's like, what was one of the cutest things you told me when we first got together is, I think the spirits brought us together.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, absolutely. Yeah, so just say I do.
Yeah. Now, are you guys? So okay, I'm gonna end the recording now because like.
No, good.
Yeah.